The strangest thing about realizing your life is a lie is how ordinary the moment of discovery can be. No chilling piece of evidence left carelessly in the open. It was a Tuesday. I was sorting laundry. The hum of the washing machine, a familiar monotonous soundtrack to my afternoon. Mark's shirt, a crisp blue he had worn to work the day before, was in my hands. I was about to toss a tint of a dark load when I caught a scent that wasn't his. The one I bought him for his birthday. The one called Triumph that smelled of sandalwood and citrus. This wasn't anything else, something floral and soft, a whisper of jasmine and vanilla, a woman's perfume. My first thought was absurdly practical. The dry cleaners, maybe the bag had brushed against Elsa's clothes, but a cold, sharp little needle of doubt pre-crooked out the comfortable fabric of my certain. I stood there frozen in that humid laundry room, holding the short tummy face, inhaling a story I didn't want to read. I decided then and there to be detective, in my own life. Not a hysterical wife, not an accusatory partner, a collector of facts. I placed the shirt back in the hamper and went about my day, but the world had tilted on its axis. Colors seemed slightly off, sounds were muffled. Mark came home at the usual time, 6:30 on the He, kissed my cheek, asked about my day, complimented posture I'd made. He was the picture of my husband, but I was watching him now through a new fractured lens. I started noticing things. The way his phone, which used to live on the cafeta bowl, now never left his pocket. The new passcode on his iPad. The one ways to watch recipes on together. That quick work drinks that seemed to happen with a new unnamed frequency. He'd mention ICD from accounting, but his voice would have a rehearsed quality, a little too casual. A week after the perfume incident, he told me he was going on a weekend fishing trip with his old college friends. He'd packed his gear with a boyish enthusiasm that felt performative. The signal is terrible. Up the lake. Honey, he said, kissing me forehead. Have fun, catch a big. The moment his car disappeared down the street, the mask fell away. I wasn't a detective anymore. I was an archaeologist excavating the ruins of neon marriage. I went into his study, a room I rarely entered, a space that would swallow his. It was tidy, organized, tuganized. I started with the filing cabinet, then his desk drawers, nothing but insurance, papers and old tax returns. My heart was a frantic drum against my ribs, part shame for this invasion, part desperate need for the truth. It was in the last drawer it checked. Tucked beneath a stack of faded concert t-shirts, he never wore that I found it. Not a love letter, not a reveling photograph. A credit card statement for an account I didn't know existed. My hands trembled as I scanned charges. Charges from a boutique hotel in the city just 40 minutes away and a recurring monthly payment to a florist I didn't recognize. The dates were a map of his deceit, a dinner on the night. Said he was working late. The hotel charge on a day attended a seminar. I felt the air leave my lungs. I sank to the floor. That gold hardwood biting through my jeans. The evidence was sterile. Financial beauty painted a picture more vivid and painful than any passionate letter could. This was calculated. This was Ask Life financed in secret. The pain wasn't a sharp stab. It was a deep spreading ache, silent, heaving sobs there on the floor of a study surrounded by the artifacts of the man I thought I knew. But then some elsewhere up through that grief. It was cold and hard and cleared. It was fury. This wasn't just a betrayal of love. It was a betrayal of our partnership, of the home we built, of the future we'd planned. He hadn't just strayed. He had meticulously built of lies and locked me inside it, thinking I was too naive, too trusting, too stupid to notice. I wiped my tears, my jaw set. I carefully placed the statement back exactly as I had found it. I walked out of his study and into the kitchen. I poured myself a glass of water, my hands steady. I looked out the window at our garden. The one we planted together. The one I tend to most weekends while he was playing golf. He thought he was the smart one. He thought he had it all under control. He had no idea that the quiet, supportive wife he took for granted. In her place was someone he wouldn't recognize. The hunt for evidence was over. Now it was time to toppling. This wasn't about winning him back. This is about something far more satisfying. This was about justice. Andy was going to make sure he got exactly what he deserved. The game was on, but didn't know the rules had just changed. He didn't know his opponent, and that was going to be his greatest mistake. The next few weeks were the strangest of my life. I moved through my days like a ghost in my own home. A smile perfectly pasted on my face, my voice steady and warm. I made Mark's favorite meatloaf. I asked about his fishing trip, listening with fit interest to his elaborate, entirely fictional story about the one that got away. I was an actress playing the role of a lifetime, the happy unaware wife, and I was giving an Oscar worth of performance. But inside I was a general preparing for war. My heart, which hadn't been so soft and open to him, was now of all cold and impenetrable. Every kind word I spoke, every meal I cooked was a strategic move. I need him comfortable, complacent, utterly convinced that his secret world was still perfectly hidden. Trust is a beautiful thing to build, but it's an even more powerful tool to weaponize since it's been broken. He trusted me that completely. That was his second greatest mistake. My investigation became more accused, more daring. I didn't need emotional proof anymore. I needed durable logistical evidence. He needed the blueprint of his deception. One evening, as he snored softly beside me, I carefully lifted his thumb and pressed it to the fingerprint sensor on his phone. It unlocked. My hands didn't even shake anymore. I slipped out of bed into the bathroom. Locking the door, I wasn't interested in love text. Those could be deleted, explained away. I went for the infrastructure of Thiefare. I scanned his email for confirmations from that boutique hotel. I found them. Weekend getaways, all under the guy's office of fishing trips. I checked his Google Maps timeline. It was a damning diary of fist lies. After work drives to a quiet suburban neighborhood across town, not as Steve's house but to a pretty little cul-de-sac named Willow Lane. It screenshotted everything, sending the images to a secret email account I created. The most chilling discovery was in his photos. He was clever. The sunflowers whose charge I seen on secret credit card. A picture of a sunset from a balcony I didn't recognize, and then a photo of a handwritten note. A grocery list stuck to a fridge with a magnet I'd never seen. It was her handwriting, and at that time it said, "Don't forget the winner for tonight. EXO." I zoomed in on the magnet. It was a small silver letter. Angela, her name was Angela. I found I'd be cross-referencing the Willow Lynn address with a People Finder web using a small portion of the money from her joint savings account money I told Mark I used for a new garden set. Angela Miller, 34. A paralegal. Her social media was set to private, but her profile picture was enough. She looking normal, nice. Even the realization was a new kind of pain. This wasn't a sword heddling with the stranger he had taken her to dinners, bought her flowers, sure had sensed it with her. He was building a sun life with her brick by brick while I was home watering his petunias. The anger solidified into something pure and sharp. A diamond of cold resolve. Hadn't just betrayed me, he had betrayed her too. He was lying to both of us, playing husband to two women, financing his double life with the security of our marriage. My revenge, I decided, would not be loud or messy. It would not involve screaming. That would be too easy for him. It would give him a way to paint me as hysterical woman to play the victim. No, I wanted him to feel the full crushing weight of his own choices. I wanted his betrayal to be displayed not in anger, but in devastating quiet clarity for everyone who mattered to him to see. I wanted to dismantle the life had built not with a wrecking ball, but by carefully pulling out Becky's stone and watching the whole structure tumble down around him. His parents were celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. A huge party was planned at a nice restaurant with all his familiar and our closest friends in attendance. Mark was proud of his parents, and during marriage, he often held it up as an example, the golden standard. The hypocrisy was so thick I could taste it. He said one night, grinning as he looked over the menu, Their store it has sent. Oh, it will be, I said, my voice smooth as silk. It will be absolutely unforgettable. I've even prepared a little slideshow for him, a tribute to 50 years of love and commitment. His face lit up. Honey, that's so thoughtful. You're amazing. It smiled back. I know. I called in a favor from an old friend who worked in it. I handed him a USB drive containing all my evidence, the credit card statements, the hotel confirmations, the map's timeline, the photos of sunsets and grocery lists.